Welcome. You've tuned into our deep dive into current affairs for your UPSC preparation. Today we're covering insights from May 11th, 2025, Part 1. You've shared a great set of sources, and our mission, as always, is to pull out the crucial bits, connect those dots, and really highlight what matters for your studies. Some of these topics might even be good revision if you've been following along, so let's dive right in.
Okay, great. Let's kick off with methane emissions. We're looking at the International Energy Agency's Global Methane Tracker for 2025. Big headline. The energy sector emitted roughly 145 million tons of methane back in 2024.
145 million tons. Wow.
Yeah, and what's really key here, especially thinking about industry pressure, is that over 80 million tons of that came just from oil and gas facilities.
Okay, so let's place that in context. Methane, it's a potent greenhouse gas, right?
Hmm.
But it has a shorter lifespan than Euros, doesn't it? Why should aspirants really focus on these numbers?
Precisely. You're right, Euro gets a lot of attention, but methane, well, it's responsible for about 30% of the global greenhouse gas effect currently. For your prep, knowing the main human sources is vital. That's agriculture, energy, and waste. And the energy sector slice of the pie, over 35% of human-caused emissions, that really underscores, the need to tackle leaks and inefficiencies there.
Right. And digging into those energy numbers, oil and gas are the big ones, clearly.
But what about the other contributors? What else should we keep in mind? Good question. So oil operations were about 45 million tons, natural gas nearly 35 million tons. But it's also crucial to remember things like abandoned oil and gas wells. They're still leaping about 3 million tons, a sort of legacy problem.
Ongoing impact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then there's coal activities, adding over 40 million tons, and that includes about 4 million from abandoned mines. And bioenergy combustion, mostly traditional biomass in developing countries, that's another significant chunk, 18 million tons. It highlights the complexity of energy transitions globally.
It really does.
Plus, you've got smaller amounts from end-use equipment leaks, maybe 2 million tons, and modern bioenergy sources, also around 2 million tons.
So it's not just the big extraction companies, it's infrastructure, legacy issues, even how energy is used day to day. Now, methane itself, remind us, colorless, odorless, flammable.
Correct, on all counts, sometimes called marsh gas. About that short lifespan, around 10 years, there's a catch. Its global warming potential, its GWP, over 20 years is roughly 80 times that of Euro.
80 times. Wow.
Yeah. Think of methane as a sprint, lots of heat quickly. Euros is more like a marathon, accumulating heat over a long time. This high short-term impact makes cutting methane really critical for near-term climate goals. About 60% of atmospheric methane is from human activity. The rest is natural wetlands, thawing permafrost, which is a worrying feedback loop itself.
Definitely. So given these huge emissions, what about solutions? Is there potential for mitigation?
Yes, absolutely. The IEA is quite clear on this. They estimate around 70% of current fossil fuel methane emissions can be cut using existing tech. For oil and gas, they think a 75% reduction is possible just by fixing leaks, which can often pay for itself, and importantly, plugging those abandoned wells properly.
That's actually quite hopeful. That doesn't all rely on brand new tech then.
Not entirely, no. Significant progress is possible now.
And geographically, who are the main emitters we should be watching?
The top fossil fuel methane emitters are China, then the USA, Russia, Iran, Turkmenistan, and India is also on that list. It's a mix, really, of major producers and consumers. It shows it's a global challenge needing different strategies everywhere.
Right, and wasn't there a big international agreement on this? Remind us of the key points for UPSC.
You're probably thinking of the Global Methane Pledge, launched at COP26. Its main goal is pretty straightforward. Cut global methane emissions by at least 30% by 2030 compared to 2020 levels. Hitting that target is seen as, well, crucial for limiting warming in the near term.
Okay, important target. Let's shift gears now. Our next topic is about border security and drones. Reports of a large drone incursion attempt by Pakistan.
That's the news, yes. Reports suggest an attempted mass incursion, maybe 300 to 400 drones, identified as Songar drones. Apparently, this was across 36 different locations, stretching from Leh all the way down to Sir Creek.
300 to 400. That scale seems unusual.
It is. It raises questions about tactics, technology, and border management, certainly.
Songar drones. Are they a specific type we should know about for security studies, perhaps?
Yes, they are. Songar drones are armed UAS unmanned aerial systems, developed by a Turkish company, Guard. They're actually considered Turkey's first indigenously developed armed drones. Launched back in April 2019, and they entered service with the Turkish Armed Forces in early 2020.
Okay, Turkish armed drones, what about their specs? What makes them capable?
Well, they're relatively compact. Rotor-to-rotor width is about 140 centimeters, max takeoff weight 45 kilograms. Operational time is around 35 minutes without a payload. They can fly autonomously or be manually controlled.
Flexible.
Right. Range is about 10 kilometers. Max altitude is 3,000 meters above sea level or 300 meters above ground. Key features include real-time video, dual cameras, one for the pilot, one on the weapon for targeting. Navigation uses both GPS and GLONASS, and they have an autonomous return-to-base function. Pretty sophisticated avionics.
And crucially, they're armed. What kind of weaponry are we talking about?
There are several variants, at least 5 main ones. One carries a standard 5.56 millimeter NATO assault rifle with recoil dampening for accuracy. Another has a 2-shot 40 millimeter grenade launcher, range about 450 meters. Then there's a 6-shot drum-type grenade launcher for, rapid firing.
Wow, okay.
There's also a version that can carry 3 81 millimeter mortar rounds using a gripper. And for less lethal options, one carries 8 tear gas or smoke grenades, dropped in a controlled way.
That's quite a versatile platform. Any mention of safety protocols?
Yes, they emphasize multi-layered safety protocols. Operator authorization is explicitly required before firing, so there's an awareness of the risk.
A wide range of capabilities, indeed. This definitely highlights the evolving nature of border security challenges. Okay, let's move on. Our next topic takes us into fundamental physics, the search for dark matter.
Yes, we're looking at the MADMAX experiment. That stands for Magnetized Disk and Mirror Axion Experiment. It's hunting for hypothetical dark matter particles, primarily axions, but this recent update is about dark photons, relevant for fundamental science concepts in UPSC.
Dark photons. The name itself is intriguing. What exactly are they supposed to be?
So the theory is they're particles similar to regular photons, light particles, but with one key difference. They have mass. One idea is that these dark photons could actually make up the dark matter halos we observe gravitationally around galaxies.
Okay.
And the way we might detect them is that under certain conditions, the dark photon could convert into an ordinary detectable photon. The frequency of that photon would depend on the dark photon's mass.
Right, so how does MADMAX try to make that conversion happen and then spot it?
Well, the core idea is to boost the incredibly tiny chance of that conversion happening. It uses a resonator, basically a stack of dielectric disks made of sapphire in this prototype, placed in front of a reflective mirror. This setup enhances the interaction. Any microwave photons produced by the conversion are then focused by a curved mirror into a very sensitive hone antenna and receiver.
And what's special about the MADMAX setup, technically?
A few things. The resonators are designed to be larger than the wavelength of the signal they're looking for, allowing them to work at higher frequencies, around 20 gigahertz here. Crucially, they can tune the resonance frequency by adjusting the disk positions. This lets them scan across a range of possible dark photon masses.
Ah, so they can search different mass ranges.
Exactly. And a real signal, if found, would look like a very sharp, narrow peak in the frequency data, standing out above the background thermal noise.
So what did this first prototype run find? Any dark photons yet?
No, not yet. No dark photon signals were detected in this first run. But, and this is important, the experiment worked perfectly. They achieved a sensitivity that was 1,000 times better, 3 orders of magnitude, than previous experiments looking in this frequency range. They've basically probed a whole new area of possibility.
That's significant progress even without a detection. You mentioned axions too, just briefly. Why are they important?
Right, axions are another candidate particle. Initially proposed to solve a different problem in particle physics, the strong CP problem. But they also turned out to be excellent candidates for cold dark matter. As for dark photons, if they exist, they might imply there are new forces acting only within the dark matter sector, kind of like how regular photons carry the electromagnetic force for normal matter.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, shifting focus again, this time to environmental conservation. Sad news from Manas National Park in Assam regarding elephant killings. What's the basic story?
Yes, it's concerning news. 3 people were arrested recently, allegedly involved in killing 3 wild elephants inside Manas National Park. For UPSC, this touches on wildlife protection, human-wildlife conflict, and how effectively we manage our protected areas.
Could you give us a quick overview of Manas National Park? Why is it so ecologically important?
Sure. Manas is in the Himalayan foothills in Assam. It covers a large area, 950 square kilometers. Significantly, it shares a border with Bhutan's Royal Manas National Park, creating a vital transboundary conservation area. The Manas River flows through it, defining its western part and acting as the border with Bhutan in places. The varied elevation, from 60 to 1,500 meters, really drives its biodiversity.
And it holds several special designations, right?
It does, quite a collection. It's a UNESCO Natural World Heritage Site, a tiger reserve, one of the original ones from Project Tiger 73, an elephant reserve, a biosphere reserve, and an important bird area. It's part of a huge tiger conservation landscape, and importantly, it's also home to indigenous communities, particularly the Bodo people who have deep ties to the area.
What about the specific plants and animals that make it special?
The flora is diverse. Sal forests, scrub, semi-evergreen forests, grasslands, riverine vegetation. Hulong trees are quite prominent. Fauna-wise, it's famous for rare and endangered endemic species. Things like the hispid hare, the pygmy hog, golden langur, Indian rhino, Asiatic buffalo, really important populations.
And these are often the targets of poaching, sadly.
Precisely, which makes incidents like the recent elephant killings particularly tragic.
Just to pinpoint it geographically, which districts, main river, border?
It's located in the Shirang and Baksa districts of Assam, within the Bodoland territorial region. The Manas River, a major tributary of the Brahmaputra, is key, and the international border is with Bhutan.
Got it. Okay, next up, we're looking at a government scheme, the Pradhan Mantri Formalization of Microfood Processing Enterprises, or PMFME scheme. News about Bihar leading in implementation.
That's right. Reports say Bihar secured the top spot for implementing the PMFME scheme in the 2024-25 financial year. It suggests they've been quite effective in supporting their microfood processing sector.
So, for understanding government initiatives, what's the core idea behind the PMFME scheme?
Okay, it was launched back in June 2020. It's a centrally sponsored scheme under the Ministry of Food Processing Industries. The main goal is tackling the challenges these tiny food businesses face: microenterprises, farmer-producer organizations, FPOs, self-help groups, SHGs, cooperatives, and helping them upgrade, become formal and more competitive. Relevant for rural economy, industrial policy topics.
What are the specific aims? What's it trying to achieve on the ground?
It has 6 main objectives. First, increase access to credit, which is often a huge hurdle. Second, integrate them better into organized supply chains through branding and marketing support. Third, a big target, help formalize 200,000 existing microenterprises. Fourth, improve their access to common services processing facilities, labs, storage, marketing platforms. Fifth, strengthen institutions involved in research and training for the sector. And finally, increase access to professional and technical support. It's quite comprehensive.
It sounds like it. What's the financial backing for this?
The total outlay is 10,000 crores over 5 years, from 2020-21 up to 2024-25. Being centrally sponsored, the cost is shared. Generally, it's 60.4 central to state, but for northeastern and Himalayan states, it's 90.40. UTs with legislatures are 60.40, and other UTs get 100% central funding.
Okay, and how does that funding translate into actual support for these businesses?
The plan is to directly assist 200,000 micro-units with credit-linked subsidies. It also funds common infrastructure and strengthens the overall institutional setup. Broadly, there are 4 components: support for individuals and groups, branding and marketing support, strengthening institutions, and setting up a project management framework.
Can we get a bit more specific on the financial support? What do individuals get versus groups like FPOs or SHGs?
Sure. For individual micro-units, they can get a credit-linked subsidy of 35% of their eligible project cost, capped at 10 lakh. They need to put in at least 10% themselves, and the rest is a bank loan. They also get help with training and preparing project reports. For groups FPOs, SHGs, cooperatives, there's seed capital for SHGs, 4 lakh per SHG, for working capital or small equipment. These groups can also get a 35% credit-linked subsidy for common infrastructure, but the cap is much higher, up to 3 crore. Plus, grants up to 50% for branding and marketing, and they get training and hand-holding support too.
Who exactly qualifies for this?
Eligible borrowers are FPOs, SHGs, cooperatives, and existing microfood processing entrepreneurs wanting to upgrade. An interesting point. For new units, there's a strong focus on the one district, one product, or ODOP approach, trying to build on local strengths.
Makes sense. Okay, moving to geopolitics now. News concerning Balochistan, specifically claims by the Balochistan Liberation Army.
Yes, recent reports mention the BLA claiming they've captured several strategic army posts in Balochistan, including some in Quetta, the provincial capital. Now, these claims need independent verification, of course, but they suggest a possible escalation in the long-running insurgency there. It highlights the complex security situation in Pakistan's largest province.
Right. For context, can you remind us about Balochistan's geography and history? What underlies the current situation?
Okay. Balochistan is a region mainly in western Pakistan, but it also extends into southeastern Iran and a bit of southern Afghanistan. It's the traditional homeland of the Baloch people. The Pakistani province borders Afghanistan to the north and the Arabian Sea to the south. It's huge by area, Pakistan's largest province, but sparsely populated.
Yeah.
Quetta is its capital. Historically, it saw Greek rule under Alexander the Great, Arab rule later. The British annexed most of it into British India in the late 19th century. Then, in 1947, it became part of Pakistan. Major ethnic groups in the Pakistani part are Baloch and Pashtun, mostly Muslim. Main languages are Balochi, Brahwi, Pashto, Sindhi. The biggest cities are Quetta in Pakistan and Zahedan over in Iran.
So primarily Pakistan, capital Quetta, bordering the Arabian Sea. That context is crucial for understanding the unrest.
Absolutely. The history of its integration into Pakistan and the distinct Baloch identity are key factors behind the ongoing tensions and the actions of groups like the BLA.
Understood. Next, infrastructure and energy. The Pakal Dul Hydropower Project in Jammu and Kashmir. News about fast-tracked approvals.
That's right. The government has reportedly expedited approvals for the electricity transmission line linked to the Pakal Dul project. It's a 1,000 milliW project under construction in Kishtwar district. The speedup is a big step towards getting the power generated onto the national grid, which is important for regional energy security.
Okay, tell us more about the Pakal Dul project itself. Type, location, scale.
It's a 1 GW or 1 GW run-of-the-river hydroelectric project. So it uses the river's natural flow with minimal storage. It's located on the Marusudar River, which is a major tributary of the Chenab in J&K's Kishtwar district. Key components are a large 167-meter-high concrete-face rock-filled dam and an underground powerhouse.
And the power generation aspect.
The powerhouse will have 4 250 milliW Francis turbines. It's expected to generate around 3,330 million units of electricity annually once it's running. Construction is being handled by CVPPL, that's Chenab Valley Power Projects, a joint venture between NHPC and the J&K State Power Development Corporation, JKSPDC.
What's the ownership split and what benefits does J&K get directly?
JKSPDC and NHPC each hold 49%, and PTC India has the remaining 2%. For J&K, a major benefit is 12% free power for the first 10 years. They also get a waiver on water usage charges and have the first right to buy the power allocated to NHPC and PTC after meeting local needs.
Okay, so Pakal Dul, J&K, Marusudar River, 1,000 milliW capacity, significant local benefits. Moving on to international trade potential, India-New Zealand free trade agreement.
Yes, the first round of negotiations for an India-New Zealand FTA reportedly concluded successfully in New Delhi recently. It's the start of formal talks to boost trade ties.
Right. For context on a potential trade partner, give us a few key facts about New Zealand.
Sure. New Zealand, island country, southwestern Pacific, 2 main islands, north and south, plus many smaller ones. It's on the Pacific Ring of Fire, so expect earthquakes and volcanic activity. Varied landscape plains like Canterbury, high plateaus like central Otago, active volcanoes. Highest peak is Mount Cook or Aoraki. Largest glacier is Tasman Glacier. Largest natural lake, Lake Taupo, is volcanic, important for hydropower and tourism. Economically known for strong agriculture, especially dairy and meat.
And do we currently have a finalized FTA with them?
No, not yet. That's what these negotiations are aiming for. The successful first round is a positive step, though.
What kind of things does India mainly export to New Zealand right now?
Key exports include pharmaceuticals, textiles, machinery, and agricultural products like spices and rice. An FTA could, significantly broaden and deepen that trade.
Okay. Next, a health topic, lupus. What are the basics we need to understand about this disease?
Lupus is an autoimmune disease. Essentially, the body's immune system gets confused and attacks its own healthy tissues and organs. This attack causes inflammation, which can affect joints, skin, kidneys, blood cells, brain, heart, lungs, potentially many parts of the body.
What causes it? And are some groups more affected?
The exact cause isn't known. It seems to be a complex mix of genetics, hormones, and environmental factors. It is significantly more common in women than men, especially during their childbearing years. Hormones are thought to play a role, but it's still being researched.
Are there different types of lupus?
Yes, several. The most common is systemic lupus erythematosus, or SLE. That's about 70% of cases, can affect many body parts, and ranges from mild to severe. Then there's discoid lupus, mainly affecting the skin with a persistent rash. Subacute cutaneous lupus causes sores after sun exposure. Drug-induced lupus is temporary, caused by certain meds. And neonatal lupus is rare, affecting newborns of mothers with specific antibodies.
What are the typical symptoms someone might experience?
symptoms vary hugely and tend to come and go in flare-ups with periods of remission in between. Common ones include joint pain, fatigue, skin rashes, including a characteristic butterfly rash on the face, fever, mouth sores, headaches, confusion, swollen glands. It's a long list, and can include serious issues like blood clots or kidney problems.
Is there a cure? How is it managed?
No cure currently, unfortunately, but it is treatable. Management focuses on controlling the inflammation and the overactive immune system to prevent organ damage. This usually involves medications, anti-inflammatories, steroids, immunosuppressants, plus lifestyle changes. It really requires ongoing, individualized care.
So autoimmune, complex causes, various types, treatable but not curable. Okay, our final topic today. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF news involving Pakistan.
Yes, the IMF recently approved an immediate disbursement of about $1 billion to Pakistan. This is part of their ongoing Extended Fund Facility, or EFF, program with Pakistan. The funds are meant to help Pakistan tackle its current economic challenges and support reform efforts. Understanding the IMF's role is key for global economic governance topics in UPSC.
Can you briefly outline the IMF's main purpose and functions?
Sure. It was established back in 1944 at the Bretton Woods Conference. Its main goals are promoting global monetary stability and cooperation. To do that, it has three main functions. 1. Economic surveillance monitoring member economies and giving policy advice. 2. Financial assistance providing loans to countries with balance of payments problems. 3. Technical assistance and capacity building. And importantly, IMF loans usually come with conditionality requirements for the borrowing country to implement economic reforms.
How is it structured in terms of membership and decision-making?
It has 190 member countries. Each country contributes funds based on a quota, which roughly reflects its economic size. This quota determines its financial contribution, its access to financing, and its voting power. Larger economies have more voting power. Decisions are made by the executive board, representing the members. They also created the SDR, special drawing rights, which is an international reserve asset members can use.
And the organization itself, who runs it? Where is it based?
The top body is the Board of Governors, usually finance ministers or central bank heads. Day-to-day work is managed by the 24-member executive board. The managing director heads the staff and chairs the executive board. Traditionally, this position is held by a European, and the headquarters are in Washington, D.C.
Okay, so primary role: financial assistance, economic surveillance, technical support for global monetary stability. Founded 1944, operational in 1945.
Exactly. And this recent Pakistan disbursement is a clear example of its role as a financial backstop for countries facing economic headwinds.
Right. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today, covering May 11th, 2025, Part 1 for your UPSC preparation. We've covered quite a range: environment, security, physics, conservation, economics, geopolitics, health, international finance. Remember, understanding how these different issues connect is really crucial for the exam. We hope this breakdown gave you some clarity and valuable insights. Maybe it even served as useful revision for some topics. If you found this useful and want to keep up with these focused analyses, please do like and subscribe for more deep dives. And maybe take a moment to think about the overlaps. How does energy policy connect to climate targets? How do geopolitical tensions impact economic stability? Lots to consider for your studies.